So hi everyone, my name is Stephen Arnold. I've been working in the games industry for around 10 years. I started in QA testing and localization, doing business development and things like that. And then over the last 7 years, I've been involved in art, animation, and cinematic production for titles such as God of War, Paladins, Injustice 2. I helped out with the Unity Adam cinematic a few years ago, organized cinematics for Evolve, The Division with Ubisoft, and some other games as well. My involvement has been kind of like partnership management, organizing budgets and timelines, working with external vendors and production partners across the world. And I've set up a new company called Fracture Labs, which is an Unreal-based video game which we're going to integrate blockchain into. Oops. And I've set up this company on Malta, the blockchain island. The reason that I've set up there is because it has beautiful weather, Mediterranean lifestyle. They have regulation in place that they're starting to do, so we are approved by the MFSA to launch an ICO, which is something that I think a lot of people don't really think about, is that they're launching ICOs, but they don't actually have the proper license to do so. Although at the moment it's still a bit of a Wild West, you will in the future need to get regulated by certain authorities. At the moment there's a lot of regulation, restrictions in the US, China, South Korea, so it's kind of difficult to run ICOs. So we decided to set up in Malta, and some of the team that we have on board with us, we have Ken Thane from BioWare. He's been working on the Mass Effect franchise for most of his career, also Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Star Wars The Old Republic. We've got Joe Garth, who's quite a well-known in-engine specialist, working in CryEngine and Unreal. He's worked on Crysis, Robinson, Rise Son of Rome, and Primal Carnage. Julius Carter, also from CI Games and Crytek. We've got Jason Chi, who I used to work with at a studio called Halon Entertainment in Santa Monica. He's a previous artist and animator for films such as Blade Runner, Pacific Rim, Deadpool, Maze Runner, and War of the Planet of the Apes. And we also have Chris Kaufman, who's worked on Destiny 2, Doom, Middle-earth Shadow of War, and other games. So they're our team leads on the game development side. I've hired some of the most talented guys I could find in the industry, and at the moment we're still kind of hiring. On the blockchain side, we have Samuel Vischer, who was the lead front-end developer of the Skycoin wallets. He's now working with us. He has a support team in the Ukraine. Devin Seto, who's a former production lead at Zynga and also Electronic Arts. He's worked on Farmville, Texas Hold'em Poker, and also with Electronic Arts he was working on Star Wars The Old Republic as well, and Star Wars The Force Unleashed. So we have quite a solid team. At the moment it's kind of a distributed team. Everybody's working around the world. We've got guys in San Francisco, guys in Montreal. We've got us in Malta as the kind of lead kind of creative development team. And we have a support team in Ukraine as well. And we're looking for co-dev partners as well to help us build this project. So we're working on Decimated, which is an online survival game with a blockchain economy. It's a really ambitious project because we want to do something in Unreal 4 that would kind of be more like Arma 3. And if you want to, you can roll the video. I'll put the video on the next slide. So here we have some in-engine content that we've been working on just in the first few months of production. These are just kind of proof of concepts. We don't have a lot of gameplay to show at the moment, but we've hired one of the Unreal Marketplace, there's what they call Diffuse Studios CEO, James Yates. He's working with us. He's already releasing a lot of tools on the Unreal Marketplace for survival games and animation stuff. So we want to create an open world. Here's some of the concept art. It's kind of like futuristic Earth that's been destroyed by climate change and industrialization, where a small percentage of the privileged population have left the planet, and the scavengers are left to kind of survive on Earth. And we'll have blockchains so they can actually salvage cryptocurrency in the game. So, and we've got some concept artists from Cloud Imperium Games, Ubisoft. Another screenshot of the concept art. So our vision is to create a multiplayer online video game with a digital economy for millions of players, 64 square kilometer persistent online world with 2 playable factions of human survivors and cyborg cops. So I don't know if anyone's played Altis Life. That's kind of what we're basing our game on, is Altis Life, where you have people can choose which side of which faction they want to play. We have a tailor-made blockchain, as I mentioned before. Devin Seto, he's the CEO of the Halo platform, which is specifically designed for online multiplayer games. I think that if anybody else is wanting to use blockchain, that might be a good solution. It's a fork of Ethereum, and it's pretty powerful. So we want to have a free-to-play game with in-game microtransactions and give the players the ability to earn in-game, pay for services and upgrades, and trade with others, and give them the ability to build property, customize their character, and personalize their experience. And obviously, because it's a fork of Ethereum that we're using, we can assign true digital scarcity, and we can have virtual item auctions on things that people want to sell, and ownership of those items as well. They can store what they have in their wallet. The gameplay overview is, as I mentioned before, we've got the two factions. We've got the citizens on one side and the cyborg cops on the other side. So the cyborg cops would have to be whitelisted to play those characters. We have the regular players, the human players who will be probably going around killing each other and stealing from each other and doing missions and things like that. Then we have the cyborg cops who will be whitelisted to be that role. Those are guys that take the game really seriously. They play by the rules. They issue, they imprison other players. They catch criminals and things like that. And both factions will have different perks depending on what you want to play. So why are we using blockchain? Well, the main reason is to mitigate hacking. I think 99% of hacking comes from China. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a user verification tool called yoti.com, where players have to verify their identity by taking a photograph of their face. Then they back it up with a short video, and then they have to upload their passport, send a photo of their passport, so that we know everybody who's playing the game. Because there's cryptocurrency involved, we actually need to know all of the real identity of our players, so that they can't just create multiple accounts and try and farm things from the game and stuff like that, right? So we would have a system in place where we would blacklist players that are kind of cheating or doing anything kind of illicit. We're using blockchain for, like everybody mentions, to prevent fraud and manipulation, for security, virtual scarcity, which is one of the most important things, and ownership of virtual items. And on the other side here, we have a flowchart overview of the kind of interactions that you have in online multiplayer video games. You've got player-to-player transactions on one side, and player-to-environment transactions on the other side. So the guys that are working on the blockchain stuff are basically integrating this into their blockchain. They already have it kind of set up. So how it works is a fork of Ethereum. It's a customized blockchain designed for video games with 5,000 transactions per second at the moment, but they're optimizing that as time goes on. Hopefully it'll increase in the future. We don't have any ERC20 token clutter on the Ethereum blockchain because it's a fork, so we don't have to worry about all these other thousands of tokens that are slowing down the network. We have master nodes and a proof-of-stake system, so whoever has a larger stake of tokens will earn a small percentage, and that includes gamers. If we have guilds of gamers that kind of group together, or investors that have a large stake in the tokens, then they'll be making a small percentage of the transactions in place. We have a dedicated smartphone and desktop wallet. At the moment, it's really kind of like basic UI, but we want to customize that so that it looks exactly like our game. And we accept fiat and cryptocurrency in exchange for our token called Dio. Dio is the Italian word for God, which I registered the trademark for, so I'm going to let the Vatican know. So, launching an ICO. So we started our ICO around a month ago, and it's an interesting thing to do, The pros are that you can raise substantial capital. There's a global market of investors, although you are kind of restricted at the moment because of all the regulations in the US. You can't actually raise any money from US citizens, also Chinese citizens as well, and South Korean citizens. So it is possible to obtain money from those investors, but you would need to use a proxy in Europe who's a verified, accredited investor. Or if you're using in other jurisdictions such as, the Cayman Islands or somewhere like Puerto Rico, for example. It's instantaneous, so anybody who wants to invest in your project and buy your tokens, you don't need to wait 3 days for a bank transfer. Obviously, everybody knows that cryptocurrency is instantaneous. It's a potential fast return of investment for investors. The tokens will be locked. Anytime that people buy tokens, they lock them for 6 months, so they can't just sell them straight away on Ether Delta, because you want to sell your own tokens first to raise capital for your project. So you'd lock them for 6 months, and then maybe you would have trading limits where you don't allow the investors to just dump all the millions of tokens that they bought from you straight away, because otherwise that will deflate the market, and then your company will be worth nothing, and everybody will be upset. We also plan on having we issue the tokens to investors in kind of 10% increments or maybe monthly installments, so then they can trade them on exchanges each month. So it's not just a case of they just dump it as soon as we put it on the market. And I think one of the best things about the ICO is that you don't have to give up equity in your company. They're basically just buying a token that they can instantly trade. Everybody kind of maybe knows this. The cons are, as I mentioned, the ICO restrictions. Also, with regards to Apple and Steam and the other platforms for game distribution, they're not very welcoming to cryptocurrency games at the moment, or cryptocurrency projects. But also, as I say, with the US and China and South Korea, it's really, really difficult to do an ICO right now. I think that the boom of raising millions overnight with an ICO is past already. And I think that now everybody has to wait for the regulation in order to be approved as a legitimate company to raise money. It's a Wild West market. Really, it's crazy. There's loads of scammers. There's a lot of negativity in the community. Like sometimes when I post up what we're doing, we get trolled a lot because people think that we're a scam company because we're doing an ICO. And it's really, really difficult to open a bank account. We've been lucky to open up a bank account, but they've said we don't want anything to do with the crypto side. If you're going to raise money through investors the traditional way, then we're happy to do KYC on those investors. But if you raise any money in the cryptocurrency market, we don't want you to convert that into fiat and then send that to our bank account. So there's a lot of hurdles, a lot of restrictions, and it's actually quite a headache, but at the same time it's a learning experience. So I don't know if anybody of you guys have seen these kind of people on the internet, these ICO advisors, millions of people that are like this. And every single day I'm in contact with people like this that say that they can help me with running my ICO. Now, I do have 6 advisors that are in strategic locations around the world. I've got 2 guys in South Korea, 2 guys in the US, 2 guys in Canada. And I'm looking for advisors in Russia and China as well, just to kind of represent the franchise in those territories where it's more difficult for me to network with investors. So I want to tell you some of the tales from the crypto, some of the stuff that I've dealt with. We've been doing our ICO for 1 month, and like some of the stories that I've heard, like of the scams that go on, is like absolutely ridiculous. So the first one is the briefcase of cash deal. So people get a phone call, and it's like Russian mafia or maybe Italian mafia. They say, yeah, like if you come and meet us in a park in Milan, we'll give you a suitcase of €500,000 in exchange for your token. And then you're like, okay, well, can we do KYC? The second one is the kind of like this kind of thing going kidnapping, right? Like the CEO of Skycoin, who our lead developer is from, he was kidnapped and by his marketing company. And they basically tied him up and his family, and they were beating him up for 6 hours until they managed to steal like 18 Bitcoin and thousands of Sky coins. And so, I'm going to keep all my crypto wallets in a safe and, try and avoid that stuff. And the third one is this 2 million poison apple deal. So our ICO was doing quite well in the first month, and then it kind of went quiet for a few months. And I started marketing, putting the word out there, like asking the advisors if they knew anyone that was interested. And then out of nowhere, I was at Gamescom 2 weeks ago, and one of my advisors said, yeah, we've got an investment fund in Dubai that wants to invest in your company. Like, they're going to put in 2 million. And I was like, brilliant, excellent, so we're off the ground. Cool, we can start production, we can start doing the project. And we had a phone call. They were like, yeah, we love the project, it's brilliant, we see the value in video games and blockchain. Like, we're going to put in 2 million now. We'll put in 2 million in 1 year, and then we're going to reinvest 1 million into your company through the sale of your tokens. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a good deal, actually. All right, cool. Send me the contract, and I'll look over it when I'm finished this conference. So as it turned out, what they wanted to do was they wanted to do a token swap of their token for the value of 2 million, right? And I was like, okay, so what am I actually getting now? Nothing. What are you getting? You can trade our tokens. We can trade your tokens. They were locked. And they were wanting to sell us their tokens for $1.50. When we looked on CoinMarketCap, they were worth 4 cents. I was like, our tokens are worth 4 cents. Why are you selling us your tokens at 750%? So it didn't happen. So I was kind of like, I got my hopes up because I was thinking, brilliant, we've managed to raise 2 million in our first month. I was like, brilliant, now we're going to raise more and we're going to be able to do a proper project. We can ramp up the team. And it just didn't work out. So I would advise anybody who's doing an ICO to just be careful, because you need to read the contracts. Like there's a lot of people out there that promise you a lot of things, and whether it's investment deals or being able to help you open up a bank account or help you with any of the kind of issues that you're facing with ICOs. But you just have to be careful, because it's Wild West. So until the regulation comes in place, you just have to be careful. And I actually welcome the regulation. That's the reason I went to Malta, was because I want it to be regulated as a legitimate company that's, a video game company that's just going to integrate blockchain into our game. And there's a lot of challenges, and we're learning as we go. But we're going to be doing the ICO for another 5 months, and then we're going to go public on the exchanges. So we'll see how it goes. So yeah, like I say, there's so many scams on the internet nowadays. But if you send me some money, then I'll help you how to deal with them. Thanks very much.
Good, okay, so do you have any questions for Stephen on?
What's the timeline?
Oh.
What's the game timeline on getting the game out?
It's planned for release in 2020. Yeah. We're still in pre-production right now, so obviously we're doing an ICO first, and we're in pre-sale right now. We'll be doing a public sale, a private sale for the next 3 months, but we might delay that because right now the markets are kind of quite red. So everybody that I'm speaking to and all of the kind of investor groups and ICO syndicates that I'm in contact with, they're all saying we love the project and we definitely might invest in the future, but we need to wait until things kind of pick up. I was wanting to actually add that we received an investment of 30,000 euros in the first couple of days of the ICO, and then the markets tanked. That's why I was asking the other guy about how much, like if he still kept it in Ethereum, because that investment that we received went down to 20,000 in just a matter of weeks. So 10,000 just basically disappeared in thin air. So, yeah.